Well, hello everybody. We are going to do a quick review of order of operations, and we're going to also use this video to help model how to take notes, especially if we go remote this school year. So let's get right at it. So on your line paper, go ahead and put the title here. I'm going to highlight mine. We are going to do order of operations. We're going to do a quick review of order of operations. So go ahead and put that on the top of your paper. I'm actually going to zoom in here so I can see a little better. And we're going to do a quick 5 examples today. So if you want to, which is also helpful, we can put today's date. And your date's going to be a little different than mine. Depends on what day you're watching this. It could be Tuesday, it could be Wednesday, which means it could either be the 8th or it could be the 9th. So you can write down this is 9-8-20, or if you are the Wednesday group, you're going to put 9-9-20, just so you know which day we did these. All right, first example, order of operations. So example number 1. Actually, before we write example number 1, let's go ahead and write down what order of operations are. Back in middle school, you probably did something like P, E, M, D, A, S. So notice I'm putting this on my line paper so it can match yours. The P means parentheses, but really these are your grouping symbols. Not just parentheses, but grouping symbols. Grouping symbols can be parentheses, they can be brackets, they could even be these little bird eye looking things. For the most part, we are going to focus in Algebra 1 on parentheses and once in a while the brackets. So you may be had this memorized as "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." When I was in school, it was I don't actually remember what we did. We just said PEMDAS, but some people remember it as "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." So the first thing you always look for is grouping symbols. After grouping symbols, then you look for exponents. Now, the M and the D, these actually go together at the same time. So you're going to go from left to right. Whatever one comes first, this is going to be your multiplication or division. So whichever one comes first. So under left to right, whichever comes first. Same thing for these last two, adding and subtracting. It doesn't mean that adding goes first. These ones, you go left to right. Whichever comes first. And again, the A and the S stand for addition or subtraction. And I'm going to leave this a little bit of a awkward blank time just so you can get caught up with a couple of these notes. You could always pause the video if you're doing these on your own, but since we're doing this as a class, I'm just going to let the video keep going, and yeah, then hopefully you get these caught up. So let's get into our examples now. Example number 1. So examples. Number 1, we're going to write 2x plus 9x minus 4. So I'm going to look for parentheses. I don't have any. Then exponents, I don't have any. Multiplication or division, don't have any. Adding and subtracting, I do. But when you add or subtract, I'm going to go back up to these notes a little bit. Make sure you only add or subtract. So this one, it says add or subtract. We're going to put only like terms. And like terms have the same variable and exponent. So if you look at this example 1 that's down here, I'm going to look for some of my like terms. One like term could be, sorry, I'm like coughing here. Notice this 2x and this 9x. They're both x's. So I'm going to take the 2 plus the 9, and that's going to give me 11x. Notice I only added the numbers in the front. I'm not changing what's with the x. And then look at the little -4 that's after it, or you can call it a -4. Same thing. Sorry about that. I've pressed a button on my screen here. There is no like term, so it just stays -4. That is our answer. So even though you're going to submit these answers online, it's a really good habit to put a circle or a square or something around your answers. Now, typically I work vertically. This one I did horizontally. I'm sorry about that. I'll probably do some vertical stuff going forward, and I'll show you what that means. So let's go to example number 2 now. I'm going to write down -3a. Notice I don't always use x's as variables. Plus 5 minus a. Oh, my pen is going a little cuckoo on me. And then plus 6. So again, I want to, actually I'm going to erase this a. I want it to look a little nicer. There we go. So I'm going to look at like terms again. I don't see any parentheses, exponents, multiplication, or division. So I'm going to look for all of my plain old a's. That means no exponents. So there's a -3a and a -a. If you don't see a number in front of a variable, you can put a pretend 1 in front if you need to. So really you have to think, what is -3a minus 1a? Or think of it as a -3a and another -1a. And I'm hoping, just hoping, that you know that that is a -4a. And now I'm going to go to what they're called constants, my plain numbers. I have a +5 and a +6. Those two together make a +11, and that's my answer, -4a plus 11. Now, one thing that you'll notice in my notes is I like to use colors a lot. I do not expect you to go out and buy gel pens or colored pens. Highlighters can be helpful at times, but it's so it sticks out in my notes a little easier, even though you will be doing your notes in pencil. And I will be modeling that under the document camera as we're going today, so you can see what yours will look like, even though the video has color. All right, example number 3. I'm going to keep moving here, keep moving. I'm going to actually move over to the side since I have room here. Example number 3 is going to be 3 times, we're going to put parentheses here, f minus 8. So parentheses mean you do the stuff in the inside for order of operation. So in the inside here, I have an f minus 8. And then I have to think, can I do my exponents, multiplication, division, adding, or subtracting inside there? And on this problem, I can't. So I ignore what's in the inside. And now I go to the outside. There's no more parentheses on the outside. There's no exponents, but there is multiplication. I'm going to put a little note right here. This is multiplication. Specifically, it's saying 3 times f minus 8. And maybe you'll remember multiplication. This is our distributive property. And what the distributive property means is you are going to multiply everything in the inside by the number on the outside. You are going to distribute or pass out what's in the outside to the inside. And I like to use little lines. I'm going to show you those lines. So I want to make sure everything gets used. Sorry, I keep on like hovering over this thing. I'm going to say 3 and put a line to this first one, f. So I have to think, what is 3 times f? Now there's a little pretend 1 here. So when you're multiplying a number with a variable, you are always multiplying the numbers together. So I'm going to do 3 times 1, which is 3. I'm going to keep the f. I'm going to use another color here. Let's go with black, just so you can see what's happening. 3 times negative 8. So positive times a negative is a negative. And 3 times 8 is going to be, let's see, I think it's 24. So that's my answer here, is 3f minus 24. Let's do another one similar to that. I'm going to move my screen up a little bit more. Example number 4. That means we only have this and one more to go. We're going to write down negative 5 times, and then in parentheses, we're going to write 6 minus z. You'll notice I make my z's with a little line because you don't have to write this. I just want to show you. This is my 2, this is my z. If I don't do the line there, if this is my 2, and this is my letter z, no matter how many times I write it, it's going to look the same. So which one's that one? Which one's that one? Well, this one right here, I was purposely wanting it to be the number 2, and this one I wrote as the letter Z. And they look very similar, so that's why I put the little lines there. It's the only thing I make sort of fancy. I don't do the fancy 7s or 1s or any of those things with the little flags on top. Anyways, back to question 4. Another distributive property question. Because there's no exponents, I can't do anything in the inside, so I'm just going to go ahead and do my distributive property here. I have to find my pen. There it is. Negative 5 times positive 6 is negative 30. Negative 5 times negative z. So 2 negatives makes a positive. And because of this plain 1 here, I think 5 times 1, which is 5. And then the z stays. So my answer is negative 30 plus 5z. Example 5, very last one. This one takes the most amount of work. We're going to put a couple things in here. Let's start with 8 times, and then in parentheses, we're going to put m minus 3. Next, we're going to put a plus sign, and then we're going to put parentheses, negative 3m plus 4, close your parentheses, and then put a 6 right next to it. So I'm going to look at just the first part of this problem, before that plus sign, the 8 times m minus 3. The only thing I can do there is my distributive property. So this is going to give me an 8m. This is going to give me 8 times negative 3 is a negative 24. Now I'm going to go over to this next one, and notice my number outside the parentheses on the right-hand side. It's still distributive property. So I'm going to go 6 times negative 3m. So positive 6 times negative 3 is a negative 18. So we just write as a minus sign, negative 18, and keep the m. And then positive 6 times positive 4 is a positive 24. So we just did 2 distributive properties in the same problem. Now we need to go back up to like questions 1 and 2 and do our combining like terms. So on question 5 here, let's look at our m's. We have some m's here. I have 8m and I have a negative 18m. So a positive 8 and a minus 18, or a negative 18, however you want to say it, is going to give me a negative 10m. Then I can look at the 24, my negative 24 and my positive 24. They actually cancel each other out because a positive 24 and a minus 24 give me 0. So it just so happens in this specific question, my answer is just negative NM. Well, there you go. That is a quick little review of the distributive property. I hope it makes sense. And now you have a couple problems to do on big ideas for your assignment. Best of luck. If you need any help, just reach out and we'll see you here next time.